Pete Buttigieg went on Fox News and absolutely shut down the Fox News hosts and the misinformation and talking points surrounding clean energy, or in this specific clip, electric vehicles, where despite all signs of this being a transition we should be making, China having the lead on us and making it, the right and older generations have such a boomer view on it, and I think that Pete Buttigieg gives just the perfect analogy for such. So let's watch his rather hilarious takedown and then we'll dive back in.
Let's be clear that the automotive sector is moving toward EVs, and we can't pretend otherwise. Sometimes when these debates happen, I feel like it's the early 2000s, and I'm talking to some people who think that we can just have landline phones forever. The reality is that the automotive sector is moving toward EVs, and the U.S. can either fall behind China or we can claim the lead. President Biden wants to make sure that those EVs are made in America, especially, again, as more Americans choose EVs every single year than the year before. We've got to make sure that those are made on American soil in places like northern Indiana, where I grew up, places like Michigan, where I live right now. During the Trump administration, China was really able to build an advantage in the EV market, and obviously not because they're big environmentalists over in China, just because that's the economically smart play. We've been working to make sure that that advantage comes back onto American soil.
Whether you personally are moving towards electric vehicles or not, the world is. They made up 82% of Norway auto sales, 37% in Sweden, 18% in Ireland, and it'll soon become a major global economic stronghold, sort of like semiconductors are or were the last few decades, something we also allowed Taiwan and China to get a major lead on us. And again, Trump allowed China's EV production to dwarf ours under his presidency, where they now produce 36 million a year compared to us producing 1.2 million a year. Most of this, again, has to do with Trump's refusal to get the ball rolling in this regard, giving China years of advantage in it. China is already outperforming us economically in multiple sectors. They've been catching up to us for decades. If we want to regain control, we need to start looking towards the future, not in the past. But I assure you, that is exactly what China is doing.
Let me just pursue that if I could with you. Tesla sales fell 8.5% the first quarter of this year. Ford this week is laying off 2/3 of its workforce at the F-150 electric Lightning plant. It's also scaling back a battery production facility because of sagging sales. EV sales are nowhere near what this president wanted or expected, yet the administration continues to shove them down consumers' throats. Why?
Well, let's be clear. Consumers have wanted and purchased more EVs every single year than the year before. And, Tesla is facing more competition as GM and Ford and Stellantis and other competitive players start to make sure they get a piece of the EV market.
For the longest time, Tesla was the only American company that was doing EVs. And then when other companies started, they had a substantial lead on their competition. But now, as that gap begins to narrow and other competitors jump in, as well as Chinese companies paying tariffs to enter the US market, it's obviously going to spread out who's getting all the sales. And as you can see here, Tesla sales going down doesn't mean anything, as EV sales have consistently gone up year over year, quarter over quarter. While Tesla moved the ball a few years forward undeniably in terms of progress in America with electric vehicles, their success in the market is not what signals the success of the entire market. And you have to love how efficient and articulate Pete Buttigieg can explain exactly that while also being in opposing territory, so to speak. If you enjoyed this video, we're a social society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that feels like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd like to support, because the only way we become a society is together.